Meanwhile, President Trump scorching the earth in his many victory laps today. Take a look.
Instead of wanting to heal our country and fix our country, all they want to do, in my opinion, it's almost like they want to destroy our country. We can't let it happen.
Joining me now, fresh from the White House celebration, Republican Congressman Andy Biggs of Arizona. Congratulations, Congressman. I saw you got a shout out during the festivities there.
I did, Charles. It was a great event, and I think the president covered a gamut of emotions, but certainly he was grateful, he was glad, and I think he is also looking forward. Still, I got a sense of optimism still in him that was lingering on from both the acquittal and the State of the Union address.
And on that note, two things that were really remarkable. You could certainly see a spring in his step, but as he went through the room and recalled personal stories of how someone was polling 3 or 4 years ago, people's family members. I mean, he knew everything about everyone in that room. He remembered all these anecdotes. And, you know, I mean, this is a guy who's got a lot on his plate. I thought that was very, very impressive. And then, you know, despite the fact that he's obviously still upset about what he's gone through, pivoting and talking about what can be done now, like infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely right. And I will just tell you just a little anecdote. The first time I talked to him when I was in Congress, his first words out of his mouth were, "Who won your district, you or me?" And so we laughed and chuckled because he knew very well I had outpolled him by 8 points in that district at that time. We had a good laugh about that, but that he knows those types of things throughout the whole country, virtually everybody's district. He's very in tune with that. But then he's also in tune with what he wants to see happen, and whether it's the transportation infrastructure, he's talked about pharmaceutical pricing. He talked about a myriad of issues that he thinks are important domestically and even internationally, all wrapped up in this kind of, I would say, you know, kind of fun speech where he's having a good time with people that appreciate him and that he appreciates.
What's the likelihood that these things can be done in the midst of this lingering animosity? I mean, we know USMCA was finally passed in a major bipartisan vote. You know, and it felt like early on infrastructure was low-hanging fruit.
I'm with you, Charles. I thought I gave a bad prediction about a year ago. I thought transportation and infrastructure was the easiest thing we could do in a bipolar type of environment here. But the reality is we see that even that's been very hard. So I think we're going to have to pick out individual policies, maybe individual bills, smaller bites of the apple. I would say things like you might be able to get some FISA reform even, some of these things, because both sides are not happy with how FISA has been used. And so maybe some antitrust issues with regard to some of these platforms. I mean, there are some things out there we can get done.
You know, one of the viewers right before you came on tweeted at me and said, "I'm also waiting to see the next hoax against President Trump. I bet it involves Martians." You know, so sort of tongue in cheek, but do you think that there will be more attempts to get him out of office?
I do, and that's part of the thing. This just never seems to go away. Jerry Nadler and his counsel have already said that they're going to open up additional investigations. Chairman Nadler has also said he wants to bring in witnesses that he felt should have been called in the Senate that weren't. I wonder if he's going to allow Republicans to bring in witnesses that we thought should have been called in the House that he wouldn't let come in. So I just don't understand this mentality that says we're going to continue to investigate. I think we've reached an apex of this, or a nadir, depending on how you're looking at it. And it's time to move on and see if we can accomplish some things, set aside differences for the best of the country.
I got to tell you, it's nuts. This week alone, from Gallup, and polled on people said their personal lives. 90% of people said that they're really thrilled with their personal life. That's a record. President Trump's approval rating went to 49%. That's a record. The GOP since September has gone up in terms of approval, 51%, the best since 2005. Are you better off now? A record 59%. Will you be better off a year from now? 74% a record. Employment engagement. People are more engaged at work. Overall satisfaction. The numbers are all through the roof since this began. It would be mind-boggling if the Democrats insisted on trying it again. I hope, Congressman Biggs, that you can talk to your friends on the other side of the aisle, and perhaps you all can get together and start doing the work for the people who sent you there. Congratulations again. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks, Charles. Good to be with you.
You too.